Michael, doesn't that music just get you excited?
It does. It really just pumps me up. I get pumped up.
It just it builds the anticipation of gosh, Michael, I feel like we've done this more this year than we've ever done before in terms of live streams and severe weather coverage. It has been a busy spring and continues to be busy today. While people filter in real quick, just wanted to be sure to number one, highlight top left corner QR code for Clarity Home. Hope we'll throw a link there in the comments. Be sure to share, tag friends. Something that I do want to note right off the bat, guys, is the NOAA weather radios in South Central Indiana, Louisville metro area are down today. And so it's critical to have another way to get alerts. And that Clarity Home in the top left will be a good way to do that. So you can scan that QR code and get all of our forecasts. So let's get into it, Michael. What are you thinking?
Well, I want people to share with their friends and you know, subscribe to the channel. And yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And then I'm also thinking that I'm just looking here at satellite this afternoon. Um, kind of looking at the clearing working in now, Brett. You may want to go to COD because that is old. I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
For some reason, the newest frame is not coming in. But looking at COD, the clearing is already in West Central Indiana. It's already sunny out there, and so
Yeah.
it's working in. It won't be a crystal clear blue sky, but I think it's going to be enough for the instability to do enough with the boundary that we have that we're going to talk about overhead tonight. To have a couple of thunderstorms that are severe and capable of tornadoes. Anytime in Indiana when we have low pressure center or boundary, low southeast surface wind, warm front. Indiana likes warm fronts,
Hmm.
and there's quite a bit of spin in the atmosphere. There's the ingredients are there. It's just will we get the instability? And right now it's appearing like we're going to, based on satellite. I mean, that clearing working in to me tells me all I need to know right now, unless something
Sure.
weird happens.
And I do think it's worth noting, the timing on this. We have a lot of time. It's only 1:30. If it was 4 or 5 and we were still waiting for some clearing to happen or clearing to move in, then I think I'd be a little bit more skeptical because you do need a couple of hours, but you
Mhm.
don't need a lot. You
Yep.
don't need a lot. And right now, the timing of the storms is later, kind of 7, 8, 9 o'clock or so. And so we've got a solid 6 hours to see some sunshine. And if we only need a couple, 1 or 2 or 3 hours, I think that certainly is plausible at this point, given what's going on out in Illinois. And as you mentioned, it doesn't have to be full on sunshine. We need some peaks. 50, 60, 70% cloud cover would probably get it done.
Latest HRRR tries to bring in values of over 2,000. It's the 16 or gosh, hang on. My computer does that to me sometimes. It picks an old run, um, but it still tries to do that. It tries to bring that main pulse in by 9 or 10 o'clock, um, and it's impressive looking. There's energy there. There's instability. There's moisture. Which run are you on? Is that the
This is
16Z? Yeah.
16Z.
Okay. That's the
Here
one.
was 15Z, was maybe a little bit more aggressive here. There's run-to-run variability on this particular model today, but I think this kind of highlights that what we'll talk about here in a moment. You can kind of see that this is the edge of the instability, if you will,
Yeah.
and it's kind of along that end to the south and to the west that I think we need to be on the lookout along the warm front for some spinners, if you will, some storms that could have the capability of spinning and rotating as we work into the evening. This is 6 o'clock, so after that probably would be when that would happen.
Yep. Yep. Go, Brett. Let's go to the dew point, the dew point forecast there from the HRRR. and I'm particularly looking at least on my screen, I've got the 16Z up. And it again, it takes the tip of that, or the kind of the, you see that 65, like if you can draw like from I-70 south, right there's like a pooling right there of moisture.
Kind of right.
Dew point 65 and above is plenty, and that's the boundary. That's the warm front might be a tad north of that, but dew points in the 60s.
That shows it too. This previous run was a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, depending, every run's going to have a little bit of variability and whatnot, but there's moisture supply, and I believe you had a graphic actually that I made.
Yep, here
There,
we go.
right there. Yeah. So tell us what we're seeing here.
So basically, what Michael has drawn out here, we've kind of an interesting setup, if you will. Number one, the colors that you see on the background, that's the dew point, and these darker greens and blues and purple colors basically indicate dew points in the mid to upper 60s. And so we've got two main boundaries, kind of the primary boundary here to the north, the warm front, along a low pressure system. We actually have a couple of separate lows here. And then we have a secondary boundary of higher dew point, higher instability that will try to develop across southwestern Indiana. Now, I think that could certainly amplify wind and hail threats across the southern portion of the state as the storms move through. But it's along the secondary boundary where we have some of that moisture pooling. And if we zoom in here, if you look at what we call wind barbs here, they're coming from the southeast. When you get a southeast surface wind, that typically is a good indicator that storms will have the tendency to rotate. And so it's kind of along this boundary where you have a southeast surface wind, where you have high moisture, high instability, that will have kind of a localized area of an enhanced tornado threat along this yellow dashed line that you see here. Now, could it go as far north as Kokomo Lafayette? It's not completely out of the question, but I do think, Michael, and tell me if you disagree, that maybe along this yellow dash line is where things could be a little bit more elevated.
Yeah, I do. It's always just where it latches onto that boundary. It only takes one or two of them as well. I think it's important to mention as well that we're not forecasting an outbreak of
Sure.
major severe weather and just craziness everywhere. It's more of there could be two or three storms that produce a couple of tornadoes or severe weather. It's not a massive widespread everybody gets it thing, but some folks that do get it, it certainly could be problematic.
Yeah, this is more localized, not as widespread as Friday. So I do want to make that very clear that it's not the same setup as Friday. Gosh, it was sunny all day on Friday, which we rarely ever get. So it's just not the same type of a setup, but it's along this warm front that I think that we do need to keep an eye on maybe a locally enhanced tornado threat. If there's maybe a higher risk in central Indiana, southern Indiana, it's kind of in this area in here as far as a tornado risk. And sometimes you can get these without even really seeing a lot of damaging wind and large hail. That can certainly still happen, but I just wouldn't be shocked if a couple of these storms go tornado warned as they develop from Champaign, Illinois to Indianapolis as we work into the middle to latter part of this evening.
See a great question here I'd like to address. This is from Michael Dennison. As a subscriber, what am I getting with the base version of Clarity that I'm not getting here for free? Well, a number of things. First off, it's radar that updates every 2 minutes, location-specific weather alerts that are issued by not only the Weather Service, but us. Nowcast sent to your phone when we're not live. An hourly forecast that updates every hour with over a dozen different variables. And a 10-day forecast that updates 4 times a day, and we're not on here every hour talking about all this stuff. So you're getting a lot more than what you would get just by watching the actual forecast right now. So I do want to invite those of you in here to check out the Clarity Home subscription. Hundreds and hundreds of you have done it, and you just go to bamwx.com. And you can scroll right down and you can see this right here on the homepage. It's $99 for the year, but there's so many things that is needed, right now, and there's gaps in the industry that are occurring, and um, slow lead times on warnings and things we're actually really concerned about. That we really want to make sure folks don't have to miss a beat on literally life-threatening information. That's seriously what it is. It's a concern for that. So great question, Michael, and appreciate that. And I love it. Love to see that you'll be signing up. So check out my new virtual background. Isn't it cool? Like I'm just, this is actually my desk, but it's behind me and it's virtual. So you can kind of see like it's a little weird. I kind of like I'm going in now, but isn't that neat?
That is, it's very neat.
I'm kind of geeking out over it right now.
Let's get to the simulated radar.
Brad doesn't want to talk about my virtual background.
Well, I see your desk every day.
You do. So. Yeah, you do. Sure. Look at this. Kathy says it's 27 cents a day. Well,
I love that.
Awesome. So, yeah, let's talk about simulated radar. Someone says here, where did it go? Here it is. What do you mean by enhanced tornado risk? Do you mean a strong tornado will be possible? I'm confused. It just means that the risk for a tornado is higher than normal. It means that there's a locally higher threat. I'm not necessarily saying strong tornadoes, by any means, but quick spin ups and things that will impact the evening is kind of what we mean with that. So.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, not necessarily, it's not quite the same setup as what we had on Friday in terms of that significant tornado threat. We're not going to be dealing with baseball-sized hail or anything like that. But when we say elevated, it's just a corridor where the chances are a little bit higher than elsewhere, if you will. So here's the sim radar, and this particular model is doing well right now with this lingering rain across the northern half of the state, the eastern portion of the state, and some strong to severe storms in Kentucky. By the way, tornado watch in effect right now for eastern Kentucky as this line continues to push through. So we've kind of got multiple things going on right now, but what we will start to see is this clearing move in, especially across the southern and central part of the state as we work into the afternoon. We may need to watch for a couple of scattered storms that could develop out ahead of the main line, 5, 6 o'clock. And then our main show comes in. This is by about 9 o'clock. Now, data, I would still say, varies a little bit on the speed of this. Some data is a little bit closer to 8, some data a little bit closer to 10. This model is slightly slower. I think right now, 9 p.m. or so for the Indy metro area is probably pretty reasonable. If you kind of take the middle ground of all of the data right now, but we need to watch how quickly these storms develop this evening. So, I'd say 7 to 10 for the highest threat across the state. Again, maybe some of those scattered storms out ahead, 5 to 6 o'clock. So what we need to watch are some of these individual cells that could try to develop along that warm front, along the I-70 corridor. Any of those that can get going, I think, hold probably that higher potential for a rotation, if you will, maybe a tornado threat. And then your main line works through. This is by about 9:30, 10 o'clock out towards 11 here. You can see the main line comes through. Will also be accompanied with a damaging wind threat and perhaps some hail, though I don't think the hail threat is all that big, certainly compared to what we dealt with last week. So this particular piece of model guidance, Michael, may be a touch slow. This is by midnight, we'll say maybe closer to 11:30 or 11 p.m., working towards the east central part of the state. So generally speaking, I'm going to say 7 to 10 for the Indy metro area. If you're further to the east, east central Indiana, maybe 8 to 11 would be a little bit more reasonable.
Yeah, Brett, I'll share real quick the latest run here that I'm looking at, which is just the newest version here of the HRRR, and it has a little bit of a different look there, but there's multiple models, guys. We can look at multiple pieces of data we can analyze. There's 6, 7, and 8 p.m. along and north of I-70, and then right along 9 or 10 o'clock. Yeah. You can kind of see what this is doing here. It's putting that line through the city through Kokomo, Indy, down through just west of Bloomington. That's 10 o'clock there. And then here's 11 p.m. You can see it's still ongoing here, kind of moving through the state. So this particular run, Brett, more like 7 p.m. to midnight.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I don't mind this new run because it has some of those storms out ahead of the main line. It brings the main line through 9 to 10 o'clock or so. I think this run is probably pretty reasonable. I'm curious. I'm taking a look real quick if it's trying to see some of this cloud cover decrease, and it is. It actually is. If you look at the cloud cover on this model, especially along and south of I-70, it definitely clears things out between 5 and 7 o'clock, especially. So you can see
Which,
the blue colors in there indicating clearer skies trying to develop.
yeah, there's your cloud cover percentage forecast, and you can watch it dwindle. Look at that.
Mhm.
It goes down pretty low for several hours, which is a good indication of, again, the building instability. You can see the instability build there, by 6, 7. We've got late May sun angle here, so it's not going to take much to heat up the atmosphere and have it become unstable. There's your updraft helicity swaths, and Brett, it is so close to your graphic. Your graphic is literally right here.
Uh-huh.
That's the 16ZH triple R for the tornado risk here, right across central Indiana. So I mean, I like the model. I like it.
Yeah, here's that map that he's referring to. This
Yep.
kind of corridor
Yep.
along the I think the further east that you go, I think time may become a factor in east central Indiana and into Ohio because the storms will be moving through so late, we'll likely start to lose some of that instability. And so I do think that time could become a factor the further east that you go, which is why that the higher threat, perhaps Bloomington, Indy, Terre Haute, Champaign, Illinois, in terms of this evening. And I don't want to, forget here. If we go over to the severe outlook map, I wanted to show the wind signal because I don't want to forget about areas further down to the south. There's a pretty high risk down here, 45% area for significant wind potential across Tennessee, South Central Kentucky, and Alabama, along the Ohio River, 30%. And so wind will also be a factor with this system as it moves through further down to the south. So if we have some folks watching down there, I did want to make that note that it's not just a tornado risk. In fact, we actually have a tornado warning right now. Look at that real quick. We have a tornado warning along the Alabama-Tennessee border right now. So it's already kind of starting to pick up down here. And there's that tornado watch in eastern Kentucky, parts of Tennessee, West Virginia over the next several hours.
Yeah. I do believe, real quick too, Brett. I think we have a Nowcast out. I think maybe not. I don't know. Do we?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So if you've got the Clarity Home package or any Clarity at all, we've sent this out. That's the timing for tonight and the threat. Greatest potential for scattered storms to form out ahead of main wave with hail and isolated tornado potential between 5 to 8. And then maybe the line behind it. Some folks tonight, if things pan out, could see 2 rounds. You could see a
Sure.
cell move through, and then the main line, you could see that move through. So some of you could actually have 2 rounds of severe weather tonight. Just something to kind of keep in mind there. But yeah, folks, if you got the Nowcast, you're seeing that. And for those of you that want to get the Nowcast, again, all you have to do is go to bamwx.com and sign up for Clarity Home or scan the QR code here. Might be tough to scan the QR code if you're watching from your phone, but the link to sign up is in the comments or on the screen. So,
Yeah, for sure. And guys, to Michael's point earlier, we're sending these types of updates out all the time. So you all get a glimpse of them when we do our lives, but how many do you think they send out a day? Like 5 or 6 of these if there's weather going on? Obviously, if it's sunny, there's no need to send out a nowcast, if you will, because
easily.
everybody knows that it's sunny. But
Yeah.
lately, they've probably sent out a ton of these to your all's phones because of how active that it's been.
Yeah.
Maybe finally next week we could start to quiet things down a little bit, but it'll be chilly for late May standards next week.
Yeah. So that's the timing for tonight. that's the threat for tonight. Brett, I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
And I'm going to talk about a couple of things. I'm going to talk about the potential for where am I at? The potential for race day rain.
Ooh, yeah.
Real quick, I'd like to talk about that. Brett, for some reason I can't. Can you turn yours off? I can't share now. I don't know what's going on. Let me try it here. Window, clarity.
There you go.
Okay, there we go. I want to talk about real quick the potential for rainfall this weekend as we get kind of closer to race day. A little concerned. There are some systems around that. There is a system around that could offer up at least the potential for some issues on race day. I know a lot of folks on here obviously are going to be very curious about the forecast. And so there's multiple different outcomes right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Sunday and we're going to go out to, we're going to call it 2 p.m. on Sunday. Okay. And what we'll do is we'll do a model comparison here and we'll look at the different weather models. This is the American model for Sunday afternoon. I will tell you, the run just prior had rain all over the place. It was like it rained everywhere. And then the new run came in and it was all south, right? So we can look at several different models. We can look at the Germans icon model. You can see Sunday, 2 p.m. around and south of I-70, there's a chance of rain, right? The UK Met, which has been the best performing weather model on day 5 right now. We keep track of that. We track the skill scores and the accuracies of weather models. And day 5, the UK Met, which is from the United Kingdom, has the best verification. It has rain here. So, you can't sleep on that. You've got to keep at least a chance in the forecast. The Canadian model has rain here as well during the day. And then the European is south. So it's 2 out of 3, 2 out of 5, it's probably a 30 to 40% chance of rain right now across the area for Sunday for the race. Now, another way we can look at that is we can go to clarity and we can look at our chances, go to the rain tab. And you can see on Sunday, there's a wide variety of rain chances here, Brett, that may be cut off because of the zoom of your
Yeah, I'm going to adjust it for you.
Screen there. But you can kind of see the outcome here, the minimum, the likely, and the maximum. There's a big spread. That bar being full there on Sunday means the confidence is low and the spread in model data is high. When we fill those color bars in, that's chaos. There's a lot of noise in the data. When the color bars are shorter, there's not chaos in the data. All right, so just something there to kind of keep in mind. But that's the thing is right now there's a potential that rain and storms or rain of just clouds and drizzle will be a risk for the race on Sunday, making it difficult to get the race in. It's just too far out.
Yeah, and there's been when we looked yesterday, the data was all pretty much dry. They turned it a lot wetter overnight, so we still have a lot of variability. Somebody made a good point. Kyle Larson is doing the double again, so he's racing in IndyCar, then trying to go to NASCAR in that same day in the evening. Yeah, if it rains, he won't be able to do that. So certainly potential problems there. We'll be helping several teams for the race, Ray Hall and Prima and Ed Carpenter Racing, and helping assist them with
it's possible, Brett. Apparently, I've learned this afternoon that I may be requested on site for the Ray Hall race team. So I'm waiting to kind of see how that goes. So
that will be something.
We may have some lives from the track if well, maybe not. I don't think they would allow that. I don't know. I don't know how that works, but pretty strict access at that point. But yeah, I mean, and back to the forecast tonight. We're looking at potential for thunderstorms. That clearing's working in. Those of you in West Central Indiana are probably seeing sunshine already. So it's not too far off. Another hour. Out of curiosity, what does the rotation mean on the cloud coverage just west of Illinois? That's the area of low pressure. That's our surface low. That's the thunders. That's the where the storms will form from. That's the system, if you will, where the low pressure center is, and that's what's responsible for ushering in the moisture and the forcing mechanism for um, storms to develop. So
For sure. Hey, just real quick, guys, while we have a minute, I wanted to be sure to give a shout out to our sponsor, our partner, as we go throughout severe weather season with 811 Dig to continue to promote safe digging practices, especially with all the severe weather that we've had this year, all the damage. I know there's a lot of people still cleaning up across central Indiana and Kentucky from just Friday. And so continuing to highlight to call that free 811 number if you need any digging to happen at your property, whether it's from repairs or whether maybe you have issues with your gas meter. Just be sure to utilize that to call your local company, whether it be Centerpoint or somebody else, to ensure that all things are well, from gas meters to power lines to whatever the case may be with storm damage. So shout out to them for continuing to promote that safe practice.
love it, love it. So with Clarity Home, you do have the future radar. We'll go over that one more time, Brett, and then maybe take some questions.
Yep.
Eric just got a text from Eric. He says the skies are brightening out there in Danville.
There you
So
go.
yeah, not going to be long. We'll watch simulated radar here. Storms again. There's no cap in place, by the way. So as instability builds, the storms will fire pretty quickly in Illinois. They'll have the potential to start rotating very quickly next to that surface low. Where you guys saw all that spinning out there, those storms are going to just they'll spin like a top. So
Mhm.
they're not going to be difficult to have an Illinois tornado today.
Sure.
That's going to be easy to do. Now, as we go forward here, we'll start to see those enter into Indiana right around 5:30. And watch too. I want to make sure you can see what's going on down south as well. Right, Brett? Can we move our faces to the side again?
We can.
Just so folks can see the sim radar guidance down there. But you can see the thunderstorm development not only to the north here around 5:30, but also western Kentucky, Tennessee, and northern portions of Alabama and Mississippi there. We'll go forward here. I'm going to take it out to 7 p.m. Again, strong thunderstorms with the potential to really have some nasty winds here coming in across Nashville up towards Bowling Green, which, by the way, weather radios down there are down today.
Mm-hmm.
So, keep that in mind. If you need warnings, location-specific alerts, Clarity has you covered there with the BAM alerts. We issue our own alerts in-house. Go to bamwx.com. But there's 7:30, and then that's moving east. And then here's, again, you can see some isolated development out ahead of it. And then watch this come through right here. This is 10 o'clock tonight. We'll zoom in for those of you joining. You can see here across Kokomo, Noblesville, Indy, Greenwood, west of Bloomington, down to Bedford. Okay, that line of thunderstorms moving through. Okay, moving through eastern Kentucky now with another wave near Paducah. Paducah gets like 6 waves a day. It's kind of normal. And then
the hot spot for sure.
10:30. This is interesting too. This let me get a refresh on this. It drives me nuts when it does that there. But this is interesting tonight. Look at the bowing here going on. See the little suggestions here out near Hancock County, Shelby County, how it bows out like that? There could be some wind there. All right. So again, wouldn't be shocked to see a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings tonight. This is 10:30. There's 11:30, midnight, and by midnight to 1 o'clock, they're out of the area. And you look at the latest HRRR just real quick in the wind gust forecast, and you can see what it's trying to do there. It's trying to see a couple of locally gustier winds, 55 mile per hour on the brink here of severe level winds. So rotating storms, a couple tornadoes, you name it, it's on the table tonight. We're getting a nice shower right now. And then the sunshine is trying to come out behind it. So, Brett, do we want to take some questions?
For sure. All right. Let's see here. Sun is trying to come out in southern Indiana. Timing. The Nowcast we sent out for Indiana as a whole, 5 to 11. Central Indiana is probably 7 to 10 outside of something scattered before that. Let's see. Potential for large hail. I don't think that large hail is a huge threat with this. We don't have a big dry layer like we had on Friday. We don't have as much instability as we had on Friday. Could there be some hail? Yes. But I don't think it's going to be a huge issue compared to areas further down the south, where the bigger severe weather threat, more widespread severe weather threat will be today. But some pockets of large hail, not out of the question, especially the further south that you go. I think the tornado risk, a couple of tornadoes, and the wind threat will probably be the biggest thing that we will be keeping an eye on here locally. That hail threat probably a little bit further south where the instability is a little bit higher. All right, let's see.
Yeah, guys, the clearing is, while Brett's looking for comments here, the clearing is it's it's in west central Indiana. You're seeing it right, kind of the line here. I think another hour, which earlier I think the idea was sun here by 3 or 4 o'clock is the idea. And again, we said with the late May sun angle, it won't be tough to build the instability there.
Yeah, as far as storm mode, it's not. I mean, there could be a couple of discrete cells, but I don't think that we're dealing with a primary supercell mode. There's probably kind of a messy, mixed storm mode, if you will, kind of mixed individual and multi-cell storms before evolving into more of a line. So not quite the same where we're dealing with more individual cells again, like we were on Friday. Could there be a couple? Yes, but I don't think it's as widespread.
Brett, I would just like to note. Oh, wrong screen there. Sorry. I would just like to note that this guy likes my virtual background.
He does. I like your virtual background.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the virtual background. So,
time frames for severe weather. I think that we're looking for Bloomington 7 to 10, generally, maybe 11. Johnson County as a whole looking okay. Nope, Johnson County's in the threat. Johnson County is definitely in the threat.
Yeah, I would say maybe kind of in the heart of it, really.
Yeah, I'll go back real quick. I'll go back to that threat map that I made in terms of the locally higher tornado threat, kind of through this area, eastern and central Illinois, into central Indiana. So Bloomington, you're in it. Columbus, you're in it. Further out to the east, not as much, perhaps. And again, don't get me wrong. If you're further south of this area, still a wind threat, no doubt about it. This is just where maybe things could be maybe a couple of additional tornado warnings rather than being a little bit more isolated. So here's the overall threat that I think Michael was showing here a moment ago. So the overall threat, this orange area, likely to be some severe weather in here, scattered to widespread severe storms, 50 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts, possible pockets of large hail, and a couple of tornadoes in general in this orange area. But again, that red area that we're highlighting, just where there could maybe be a higher concentration of rotating storms, if you will.
Yeah. I was trying to see if we had any new Nowcast info in. I kind of like that little deal.
Yeah, there are some cool tools coming out right now, guys, in terms of weather technology, modeling to help enhance forecasters' abilities to forecast tornadoes and extreme events ahead of time, if you will. I don't know, 5-10 years ago, there weren't as many tools in terms of a tornado cast, if you will.
Yeah.
And so definitely as a forecaster, always exciting to see some new tools come out. Whether they're accurate or not, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, right. Who knows? But this is interesting. I'll show it real quick just because I think it's interesting to see what this does and what it tries to suggest. Make sure I share the right screen again. So I'm just kind of an idiot. Here we go. But this is the Nowcast, and this is where this is a suite of models that come together and try to predict where the best tornado threat is. It's interesting. It's interesting. That's an interesting look there in eastern Kentucky. We'll have to see how that verifies later. But that's a 5 to 10% chance within 25 miles of a point that there's some tornado focus tonight. So this was from the morning run of the models. We should be getting a new one here in the next hour or so, but it's pretty cool nonetheless.
Hey, Jennifer, just asked if we can go live on the Clarity app as well. That is something that during these severe weather events that we do. So I believe we were live on Friday for clients, and so you should have gotten a notification pushed out to you in the Clarity platform to go live there as well. So let's see here. A couple of other. Somebody asked if there was a tornado possible for their specific location. So just from an educational standpoint here for a moment, there's no way for us to know ahead of time at this distance where a tornado could drop down. We can highlight a general area that could have an elevated tornado risk, but we can't pinpoint where it will exactly happen at this distance. You have to wait for the storms to actually form and monitor their rotation and their velocity and their wind signals to determine whether a storm has the capability of producing a tornado or whether radar is indicating debris being lofted into the air so we know that there's one actually happening. So it's not possible, it probably will never be possible to pinpoint where a tornado is actually going to happen hours out.
Yep. For sure. Well, this has been informative. I think now we just need to watch the next few hours and suggest that we might be live closer to 6 o'clock tonight, unless we see something glaring we need to talk about, but maybe look for the next live somewhere in and around 6 p.m.
Yeah, I want to real quick address this comment real quick in terms of what they saw, I assume, on Friday about how there was blue sky and then there was a tornado 15 seconds later. So in that particular setup, what was happening, there was not a lot of precipitation on the southern side of those storms.
Yeah.
As you were kind of mentioning during the live on Friday, Michael, they were almost like low precipitation supercells. You can get a tornado and literally not get much of any precipitation with the storm based off how they're moving. And it probably did look bright and sunny for a time to the south, especially, and then the tornado can come through. And so it's rare that you get those types of setups around here, more common out in the plains, but that definitely can happen. It just doesn't happen as often around here.
Brett, we're real quick while we're on here. A tornado watch has just been issued. I can plot that. It is just to our southwest here. Here it is. There we go. Yeah, there's a tornado watch there for eastern Arkansas, southeast Missouri, and then western Kentucky, Tennessee, and Mississippi there. Far southern Illinois, too. Probably won't be the last watch that comes out tonight. And I would say if all things considered, if things go the way we think they'll go, there'll probably be a tornado watch here this evening, too, if I had to guess. So.
Yep, no doubt about it. But as you mentioned, we will continue to keep an eye on things, getting some comments in here, getting brighter in Whiteland. And so, yeah, the sun beginning to peek through across southern and western parts of the state. And I would imagine that will continue here in the coming hours. But we'll keep trending things. If you don't have any, do you have any last minute notes, Michael?
Nope. Go to bamwx.com and sign up for Clarity Home. Don't miss out on it. BAM, specific BAM alerts. It's $99 a year, 27 cents a day. It's kind of a no-brainer. You spend more money on that, just breathing oxygen, really. So go check it out. All right, guys. We appreciate your support. Appreciate you tuning in. We will be back as we get closer to this event this evening. So keep an eye on things. Again, sign up for Clarity Home for more specific details for your location, and we'll be back soon.